Welcome to the Jeff Mayweather Show. My name is Alexz Yzerman, joined by Jeff Mayweather here. Sorry about that prolonged introduction there, just getting things ready. Welcome to the show. Jeff, how are you doing tonight? I know you're a little tired, so thanks for sucking it up and joining us tonight.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, just a little tired, a little jet lag.
Yeah, I guess Pitbull has a little competition there for Mr. Worldwide now. Huh? You've been all over the place. Go from Vegas to England and Ireland and back to Vegas and over to Philadelphia. Tell us a little bit about that, as far as your travels go.
Well, I mean, I guess I consider it a blessing to be able to, to just be working with fighters and actually getting a chance to, travel the world. And so, back to back, actually 3 weeks in a row, I'll be working. First, I went to Belfast, Ireland with Kevin Johnson, and now I'm in Philly with Bowie Tupou. And actually then in December 17th, I actually be in the corner with Roy Nelson, Big Country. So yes, it's been a very, very busy, busy month for me. So, and I consider it a blessing.
All right. Normally we have wall-to-wall guests. This week I wanted to approach you a little bit different. In the second half at 7:30, we're going to go ahead and bring in Jessie Vargas, who's got a fight this weekend, this Friday. But before that, I figured we'd catch up a little because you have so much going on, so much been going on in boxing. So, I figured it'd be good, let's just get us a chance to catch up on everything and talk about that stuff. So first, let's start with the unfortunate stuff. Let's go over a little bit and talk about the fight this past weekend with Kevin Johnson. I know it was a really short camp. He took the fight on 3 weeks' notice. You guys were just together 2 weeks. How did that go? And explain some of the difficulties of working with someone, especially someone new, with such short notice for a fight.
Well, it made it pretty tough because actually going into the fight, I mean, I didn't necessarily know, how much training Kevin really had done, and and I think that realistically that he really didn't do much more than, probably maybe possibly 2 weeks, and I can kind of sense it once the fight really actually started to take place. I mean, Kevin's a great defensive fighter, not really known, he's not really known for letting his hands go. But that's one thing that I stress more than anything is, throwing punches. But, so I mean, it's one of those situations, where basically, I was kind of blind to the situation. But, at the same time, I mean, it's, still an opportunity of a lifetime. And sometimes you just can't pass up, those opportunities. And I think that's what it was more than, Kevin Johnson that was in, tip-top shape, 100%. Focused and ready to go.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that, because I think that their skill levels were, miles apart, and just as the fight progressed, it seemed like, Tyson Fury was just in better shape.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that a little bit. Before the fight, you guys, had said, and you thought the abilities and the as far as the skill level goes was, certainly in Kevin's favor. Were you kind of surprised, by the ability of Fury during the fight?
Well, I mean, the one thing that, Fury showed that he hadn't seen was that, I mean, he was a guy that, for a guy his size, he did have a high punch output. And, he did try a few new things in there that I had never seen. I mean, he was trying to use angles and try to create angles by, side stepping and things like that. So, I mean, I took my hat off to him. I think he did a good job, and I think that, just because of the fact that he's so young, that he still has a chance to actually become, maybe heavyweight champion of the world one day. Not so much on his ability, but the fact that he's young enough to continue to get better.
Right. Now, before the fight, there was quite a bit of trash talk. I mean, it wasn't, at all-time high levels, but both of them kind of, talked quite a bit of trash. Then just before the fight and after the fight, it all kind of did a 180 there, and they kind of, couldn't speak kindly enough of each other. So was that just kind of a change once they got to know each other a little bit? Did they started to like each other a little bit more, or was it just, kind of your typical ability to fight where the trash talk is kind of a prerequisite?
Well, I think I think that this is something that is kind of a UK thing. I've never seen nothing like it before in my life. Where you have, two guys that are actually getting ready to fight each other. And then, as a part of the promotion, you can have those guys actually get a chance to sit with one another and do things, that over in America is inappropriate. Because realistically, it seems like it takes the fighter's mental edge from them. Because you can't, how can you be, 100% focused and really, have, killer instinct and the desire to actually take this guy's head off when you're promoting and they have you guys, singing together, have you guys, in every interview, everything is so positive, between you two that, it's almost like you almost got to, try to recreate whatever it is, the dislike or the reason why you're even there to even give yourself a mental edge, But, of course, that, that's not a reason for winning or losing, but it's still just, to me, it's just something I've never seen.
So if Floyd and Manny ever fight, we won't be seeing a piano playing and seeing a thing going on with Floyd playing the piano and Manny singing. We won't see that.
I don't think so.
That'd probably be a separate pay-per-view right there, wouldn't it?
That just was funny to me. It was like, I tease Kevin about it a lot. But at the same time, I guess that's part of the way they do their promotion. So, I guess it is what it is, But like I said, me myself, it's just something that I couldn't understand. I couldn't even get the vibe of two guys, that get ready to go to war against one another, and everything is so hunky-dory. I just couldn't get it.
Right. Now onto the fight. A couple fights ago, obviously you were involved with it, but Kevin was roundly criticized for performance against Vitaly, that he was just kind of in to survive, and he had a really poor performance. Wasn't really looking to strike, just kind of looking to survive. And this fight here, it's kind of more the same. The output was really low as punches go. Is that cause for concern that, that this might be a trend? Because, one time you could say it was a fluke, but two times you kind of wonder if it's a pattern developing. So, going forward, is that cause for concern for you?
Don't get me wrong. It's one of those situations in which me, myself personally, I can't really judge because of the fact of knowing that, the fight was on a 3-week notice. And basically, and that's what I seen. I seen the guy in, like in a 2-week notice shape, as the fight progressed. Because he had the knowledge and the ability of being able to not be hit. And and his work rate wasn't that high, and of course, that's the one thing that sticks out is the fact that it was almost like a recreation of the same performance. But me personally, I like to think differently because, when you train a guy for 2 weeks and you go into a fight this big, I have to lean toward the fact of, the fight being on short notice rather than, just, doing like everyone else and saying, okay, well, that's just how he is. I guess I'll find that out in the next fight when we actually have a 6 to 8 week camp.
All right. All right, well, last question on that before we move on. Just, improvements we made going forward, and what would you like to do next with him? Would you like a step back, and kind of build the confidence back, and then, maybe be able to work some of your game plan out against, maybe a lesser opponent, or do you want to, kind of stay at the same level and get the best guy out there that you can get?
Well, it's one of those situations in which, me training him, actually give me a need to give myself a chance against, more of a guy in which, we have a better chance of, just being able to work the things that I work with him on. So, I don't want to just jump right back in to fight a top 10 guy or a guy like Fury or something like that. Not that I don't think that much of him, but at the same time, I still, think that, Kevin is still a very viable heavyweight in the division, still one of, probably still one of the best guys in the division, but actually has to, not just prove to me, but prove to himself that he can actually, kind of negate, what everybody thinks of him by actually going out there and put together, a complete fight with, with high punch output if needed, or even a stoppage, So I think that we need something like that just to build on and then go from there. And I don't think that it's not like, okay, let's reinvent the wheel. No, it's not like that, but it's just like, okay, let's have a chance to actually get in there with somebody we can work on the things that we worked with, and then after that, go right back to, to someone that's on a higher level.
And just, how did the folks treat you over there in Europe? You'd never been there before, so how do they receive a member of the Mayweather family over there?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I think I got more attention than Tyson and Kevin together. It was, a long line of people wanting to take pictures, wanting autographs and things like that. So it was a great experience in that aspect.
Yeah. So you came back. You came back to Vegas for a day or so, and then right up to Philadelphia, or did you go straight to Philadelphia? I thought you came here, didn't you?
Yes, I actually came home. Missed my first connecting flight, so I ended up getting home close to almost midnight, and turned around. I had to, of course, repack, and and be ready to go directly to Philadelphia the following day. I had to be at the airport by 3 o'clock. So I went to the gym, trained a few people, and then went straight from the gym to the airport.
All right, so now you're there in Philadelphia. You hooked back up with Bowie. Just tell us a little about that. Any problems? Missing a little bit of time with him. How's the camp going? How are things looking right now?
The camp's going real well. Like I said, Bowie's one of those guys that, he has tremendous power and has, good hand speed, and that's a great job. But I think that those are, things that he doesn't actually believe in himself, and so basically that's the one thing that I've been trying to instill in him is the belief in his jab and to believe in his ability. Because I think that he has a great chance of winning this fight if he sticks to the game plan, put some pressure on Jennings and force him to fight him, as opposed to making it a boxing match. So I think that we had a good camp, and he seems to be focused. So it's just a matter of waking up the sleeping lion before the fight happens.
So you're coming off a loss against Malik Scott here. You going into this fight as a pretty significant underdog against Bryant Jennings. Any extra pressure coming off the loss? Another loss would really be a huge setback. So does that put extra pressure on you?
Yeah, it's pressure. It's always because no one wants to lose. But that's one thing that also is a part of boxing. But I think that, more so than myself, the fighter has to be, just as desperate as the trader. It just can't be me wanting him to win, and let's just go off of wishing. He has to plant that seed in his mind that, my career's on the line. You know, if I don't win this one, maybe this will be it for me. You know, maybe the people that have put me in this position, you know, probably no longer want to even deal with me. You know, so I mean, this is a very, very huge fight, you know, for Bowie. I mean, this is the opportunity of a lifetime for him. You know, and actually it's a career changer for him. If he can get past Jennings, he's gonna move on to bigger and better things. But if he loses, his career might be over. So I mean, that's the type of mindset that he has to fight with.
Right. Now, you're one of the hottest trainers in the sport. In the last couple of years, you've really gained a lot of momentum. There are MMA and boxing, a lot of people seeking you out. But the one thing I kind of noticed is that you always have, it seems like every big fight you go in, you have the underdog. You know, I guess with maybe the exception of Celestino, you know, you always have the guy that's supposed to lose. You know, Johnson was supposed to lose at Bowie in his last fight. Is that something that concerns you? Because maybe, you know, people will unfairly, you know, knock you and your training ability if you lose these fights, you know, not realizing that, you know, you have the guy that's a significant underdog, so, you know, it's harder for you to pull off the upset.
Well, I mean, one thing with me is this, is that I don't necessarily, you know, care too much about what people think in that aspect, because I'm the type of trainer that's willing to train, you know, anyone that's seeking my knowledge. You know, I'm willing to pass it on to them. You know, and I feel it's a privilege to be in a position to be chosen by anyone. So, I mean, I don't really concentrate so much on that. I mean, and my winning ratio was, you know, probably within the last year or so was probably like as high as 90%. So, you know, eventually, of course, I mean, that always changes. You know, I mean, you have trainers that actually, you know, have been sought after, and then all of a sudden, you know, they take a nosedive, you know, and I'm not hoping that happens to me, of course. But, I mean, it happens. It happened to Freddie Roach. It happened to Buddy McGirt. You know, it happened to all these trainers that basically at one point in time in their career, they're the hottest thing out there, you know. And unfortunately, I haven't got to that level, even though I had a very, very high ratio of winning. You know, I know my ability to train, and, you know, and anyone that trains with me, you know, they'll know too. So I mean, I don't really get caught up in, you know, the fact of a person winning or losing, because like I said, sometimes at the end of the day, you know, it just happens that way. You just happen to run into somebody that's better than you. And it has nothing to do with the trainer. It has nothing, you know, really nothing to do with you personally. It's just the fact that it just happened that way. So I mean, you know, I don't really get caught up in that too much.
And the last thing on Bowie, just as far as, you know, you had said that you thought that Malik Scott was a terrible matchup for him style-wise. Then you said that you think Jennings is a little bit better, you know, as far as styles go. Could you explain the differences there and why you think that Jennings is a better matchup for him?
Well, I think Jennings is a better matchup because he's combative. He's a guy that's not gonna be, you know, kind of pretty like a Malik Scott. Malik Scott was a extreme, you know, good boxer. With a good jab, good head movement, you know. Yeah, he's a real slick guy. As opposed to Jennings. Jennings is more of a, you know, okay, well, I'm going to see what you got, and I'm coming to get you. You know, and so basically that gives us a chance. I mean, that makes him vulnerable and makes us in a position to actually, you know, catch him with that big shot. Because, I mean, by far, I think Bowie's a much bigger puncher than him. But it's just a matter of, you know, can we find him?
All right. All right, so you have this fight this weekend, and it's right back here, and then you're finishing up with Roy, right? Tell us a little bit about, you know, Roy's camp and where he's at right now, as far as you know.
Well, I mean, Roy's been working for, you know, quite some time, and, you know, and basically now it's almost like, I mean, I'm sure Roy probably has the highest punch output of probably any heavyweight in the UFC. You know, I mean, I have Roy throwing well over 500 punches a round. And that's the one thing that I stress with you know, with working with Roy is the fact that, you know, everyone likes to try to, you know, downgrade his conditioning and things like that. But no one really knows how hard he works. You know, Roy's an extremely hard worker. And, I mean, the way he looks is actually, I mean, that's by design as well. You know, because if Roy wants to actually get in shape, have a six-pack and things like that, he can do it. But the reason why he's loved is because of the fact that he looks like the common guy. He looks like the couch potato sitting down who decided to say, hey, I want to go do this MMA stuff and see how it works. You know, he gives hope and desires and aspirations to the common man that sit down on the couch drinking a beer, thinking that they can do it. Not that it, not realizing that, I mean, it's not that. It's just, that's just the image that he projects. But, I mean, the people love him for it. So, I mean, it works out well for him.
Yeah, we had Mike Hogan on our MMA show last week, and he said kind of the same thing. And he said that it's, kind of a testament to Roy, that people think that, he can just roll out of bed and all of a sudden, be one of the best fighters in the world. People must think he's Superman or something, because it just doesn't quite work like that. He might not look like he takes it seriously, but you don't get to be, where he's at and have his ability just rolling off the couch. People don't have those abilities and those talents.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, because, basically, when I first met Roy, and in all honesty, when I first met him, and he was the guy that I was supposed to train, I didn't realize because of his beard, because he has a tendency to make himself look a lot older than what he really is, because his face he doesn't have an old-looking face at all, but just because of that, I thought that when I was supposedly training Roy Nelson, that actually I was training his son. Before I knew it was actually him, And then, of course, I mean, once I got a chance to, talk to him about the image and everything else that goes with the whole package, then I kind of understood it.
Yeah. What are his thoughts? Where's his mindset at? Obviously, he was really excited to face Shane Carwin. They had some back and forth and had a pretty good rivalry going there. Of course, both coaches are the Ultimate Fighter. Disappointment not be able to face Shane Carwin, and then have you got his? I know you've been gone, so if you got any feedback, what do you think about Mitrione? I mean, Mitrione's, he's a tough, good fighter, but he's not someone that on the surface you think would be a real huge threat. Someone that that would likely beat him.
Well, I mean, I think that Roy was, he was very disappointed with the Carwin fight, and because it's not just the first time, it's the second time that this has happened, and of course, I mean, they had war words, and so everybody was very excited about the fight, and then it comes down to the last minute, it doesn't happen once again, and of course, I mean, Roy was, he was a little devastated by it because I can tell, his mindset and everything, but like I told him, I said, we've already worked too hard to even worry about that. So, I mean, he just took it with a grain of salt and continued to work hard. And the only thing different was that, I had to start training him from a southpaw stance so he can start, acting as though he was fighting the southpaw. So, I mean, other than that transition, I mean, everything is still on point.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit, just as far as the stuff going on that doesn't involve you personally in the world of boxing. A real busy life. Did you even get a chance this past week? You obviously were out of town and out of the country, but did you get a chance to see the Miguel Cotto Austin Trout fight?
To be honest, I really didn't. I tried to watch it on Ustream. And Ustream is almost watching like somebody taking photographs step by step. And so, I mean, I couldn't really piece together what was really happening in the fight at all. So, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Same thing with me. I was trying to watch the, Tyson and Kevin fight. I gave up after 3 rounds. As watching, like a half a second of action and freezing for 3 seconds and half a second more, and it just gets a little tiring watching that stuff after a while. So I was like, and actually the audio wasn't bad. I could kind of hear that, so I got it on the radio, but I didn't get to watch it. But you didn't get to see it, but were you surprised by the result? And, where do you think Cotto goes from here?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I knew there was a potential upset, but, I mean, I still thought that I just thought with the fact of the fight being in New York, that it would be such a huge it was almost like, Trout would have to almost kill Cotto to actually win the fight. But, fortunately, maybe with the pressure of what happened with the Lara fight against Paul Williams or whatever, maybe now that probably put some of these referees in check. And actually now they're trying to be a little more honest about their assessment and judging fights.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good for the sport when, the guy that's supposed to win actually does win, and not just the guy wins just because of his name or because of what he brings to the table. So I mean, it was great for Austin Trout to win, and hopefully now he can get the fight with Canelo. And maybe it's the curse of Canelo anyway, because Canelo seems like whenever he shows up, the guy that's supposed to win loses.
Right. Well, speaking of Canelo, that was the thing. Obviously this elevates Austin Trout to the next level of fighters, a top tier fighter. But they were hoping for that Canelo fight, but Canelo's team kind of came out today and said that Trout wasn't worthy of fighting Canelo, and that maybe with 3 or 4 more fights he might be at that level. Having said that, it's just kind of shocking to me. This is back again in boxing politics. What has Canelo done for him to say that to Trout? Trout seems to me can say, what has Canelo done to fight me? I mean, obviously Canelo's got a lot of hype behind him, but do you kind of, do you see his unwillingness to fight Trout being kind of a, that they're worried about, protecting him and what's that? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, to me that's basically an admission of we're not going to take that risk because he doesn't have the value that's necessary to take that kind of risk. There's no money in fighting Trout. So at the end of the day, why waste that time fighting him?
So you agree with it then? I mean, the one thing is, then people will turn around and say, well, what did Josefito Lopez do to deserve a fight with him? All he did was beat Ortiz, and, he wasn't nearly he wasn't even a legitimate welterweight welterweight. So I mean, what are your thoughts then? Do you agree with them doing that then?
I mean, what I agree with is, like I said, of course, they were looking for Cotto to win. That's the only thing they were banking on. And okay, a fight with Austin Trout and Canelo still doesn't mean anything just because he beat Miguel Cotto. He still hasn't done anything in the sport where all of a sudden the whole, he's going to have a huge following or anything like that, or it's going to generate numbers for pay-per-view. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen that soon. So I can understand the business side of it because it's a very risky fight. Canelo would rather take a chance of fighting Floyd, who's already, proven that he's, the hottest commodity in boxing, where if you lose to Floyd, there's no shame in it. And the pay that you're going to get is going to be, probably 5 times what you're going to get fighting Austin Trout, a guy who has no following, just happens to, get a decision over.
To end this call, press pound.
Are we still there?
You are at the main menu. To change your greeting, press 3. To access your personal options, press 4. To end this call, press pound.
I don't know if that was.
You are at the main menu. To change your greeting, press 3. To access your personal options, press 4. To end.
All right, sorry about that. We had some difficulties there. We're going to go ahead and get Jeff back on the line here. Apologize for that. I don't know what happened there. My phone went a little crazy, so we're going to get Jeff right back here on the line. Hold on one second. All right, Jeff, you there? Sorry about that, buddy. My phone went crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, you hung up just 1 second before I got back on. I don't know. My phone answers some other call automatically, and I don't know what happened. So, did you get to finish your point there?
I mean, basically, for the most part, like I said that the fight, it just doesn't make. It's one of those things. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So, and it's one of those situations when it comes to Canelo and Trout.
Right. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get Jessie Vargas here in the line. What I'd like to do while I'm doing that, just go ahead and tell us, obviously the big fight this weekend, Marquez and Pacquiao meet for the 4th time. Thoughts on that? Who do you favor, and what can we look for? And I'll be right back with Jessie.
Well, I mean, I think that, it's a fight that's still viable, to the fans, because it's a fight that, to be honest, in a lot of people's mind, the right guy has never won the fight. He's never won one of the first 3 fights. And, and maybe this 4th time may lead toward him. But, I mean, it's great for boxing. You have 2 guys that, of course, each time they fight, it's going to be close. And it's going to be entertaining. So, I think that it's a fight that, the fight fans still want to see. But hopefully the judges will get it right this time. Whether it is Pacquiao for real or if it's Marquez, just do the right thing this time.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring on our guest for the night. Undefeated welterweight fighter has a fight this weekend. It's Friday night at Texas Station here in Las Vegas. 20-0 top-ranked product, Jessie Vargas. Welcome to the Jeff Mayweather Show. How you doing, Jessie?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys doing? Thank you for the invite.
How you doing, Jeff?
All right.
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on the show, and it always feels good talking with you guys.
Yeah, all right, well, Jessie, I got to see a little bit today there. I had to leave a little bit earlier, than I might have wanted, and you might have wanted. I had to go back for a training lesson. Tell us about the Pacquiao mania that's taken over the gym over there.
Oh yeah, man. You know what? Pacquiao has a big team. He has, I guess, a stable of fighters, and that's the reason it was pretty busy at the time. And when we were on our way out, Manny Pacquiao was on his way in. So yeah, it's a lot of movement here in Las Vegas.
Now, Jeff, is it the same way? How do they work it when Floyd's actually in camp? Do they shut down the entire gym, invitation only? Is it the same as they do with Pacquiao getting there? Obviously, just don't want people wandering in and out. So how does that work during his camp?
No, it's pretty much the same. It's the exact same way.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, all the people that he knows and his fans, he lets them in, and I mean, it's pretty much the same every day, right, Jeff?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, kind of like you said, Pacquiao has his own group of fighters as well, and that's the same thing with Floyd. I mean, but for the most part, Floyd will still have, some of his fighters that actually sign with him. They'll still be there, but then he also, for the most part, he has just his sparring partners. So, and, then everyone else is in by invite.
All right. Now, Jessie, have you got a chance to meet him at all and talk to him?
To who?
Manny Pacquiao. Have you spent time with him, or did they put you out too?
No, I haven't. You know what? I haven't even met the guy. No, I haven't had the pleasure to meet him yet.
Now, going forward, obviously, with you having a fight here at the same time, it wouldn't have lined up properly. But is there a possibility that you might be one of his sparring partners in the future if he's out here?
For who? For Manny Pacquiao?
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I'm doing my own thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm coming up. To be the top guy. I don't think about being a sparring partner for anyone else. I just look forward and I just, look who I'm fighting next, and we'll go based off that. Who do we need as a sparring? Maybe if I find a lefty, maybe if I'm fighting a lefty one day and he needs sparring and I do too, you never know. But I'm the sparring that I do is specifically just to prepare me for my fight, not for anything else.
Right. Now, Jeff, explain to, for stupid people like me, how does it work with the sparring partners when you choose them? Like he said, he's a top guy, so he's probably not a sacrificial lamb to go in there and just get tossed around by Manny. So when you're looking for sparring partners for top fighters like Manny, like Floyd, like Jesse, a guy on his way up, so is it basically the guys that may have reached their peak or passed their peak or never going to quite get to that level that you normally work with, or how does that work?
No, I mean, basically, you really pick sparring partners basically for their style, because if they can imitate the guy that you're fighting. But at the same time, once you get to a certain level, and where Jesse's at right now, I mean, Jesse's a hot prospect on the rise. So you don't take a hot prospect and put him in with a guy that he could potentially be fighting. It makes no sense because it's still a business. At the end of the day, it's still a business. So you don't spar with a potential opponent that can actually help you feed your family. So basically, it's one of those situations you steer away from until you rather have the fight than being paid as a sparring partner. And that's what Jesse's saying makes sense. That no, I'm not really a sparring partner. Not saying that he's not a sparring partner in the sense of not wanting to work with him, but it just doesn't make business sense.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. You said it. You said it right.
The last thing before. No. Okay, the last thing I wanted to get into before we talk about you specifically, Jesse, it was my first time today at Top Rank Gym. You had said, it's kind of just a gym for the Top Rank fighters, so they open up specifically for you. Explain the dynamic, what it's like, the differences as far as working in a gym where it's more private and there's nobody in there, as opposed to, working at the Mayweather gym where there's a lot of people in there. What are the pluses and minuses of both? And which do you prefer, if either?
You know what? It's basically the same for me. The only difference was that it was a different gym with a different name. That's basically all it was. I mean, when I was training at the Mayweather gym, I was training at the time where, I had my private time, my own time, and then everyone started coming in once I was done. So I mean, it's basically the same here. I have my own time, and I train at the time where just me and my team are working on our task for for whatever date it is that we have. So it's basically the same, man. I mean, there's no difference. I mean, all I need, they have bags, they have rings, the same thing.
All right. Now, we had the interview today for ProBoxingInsider.com. That's up on the site if you want to check it out. But the one thing I noticed in you talking, and you just come from, I guess, an ESPN interview before that, you've come a long way in your speaking ability. Is that something that just, by doing more and more interviews, you've gotten better at, or something consciously you worked at? Of course, you realize, and I guess, being around Floyd Mayweather will teach you better than anyone that, that your mouth will make you dollars eventually. So that's something consciously you've worked at getting better at, or just kind of something happened naturally through, doing so many interviews?
You know what? Just like I remember Jeff, what he told me in our very first interview, he said you just got to get comfortable with the cameras and and talking with the reporters, and that's all it is. I think I'm just getting more comfortable, not getting so nervous when I'm being interviewed. I think that's the only difference. And also, I mean, I pay a lot of attention sometimes to my interviews. Whenever I see that a mistake is done, I correct it for the next time.
All right. So now tell us a little about this, this fight coming up here. You got moved. First of all, tell us, I know I asked you this earlier today, but not everybody saw that interview. You were supposed to be on the undercard of the Pacquiao-Marquez fight. It got moved to Friday night for the main event at Texas Station. You're placing in Diego Magdalena's fight. Tell us about moving venues, moving locations, and dates. How does it affect you, and do you mind at all?
Yeah, well, it didn't affect me in any way. When they did tell me that I had the option to change to be the main event on Friday on TV Azteca as the main event, it was just an option that me and my manager, Cameron Duncan, we were looking into it. The first thing I asked was, hey, was because we had to also, the business aspect of it changed a little bit, being that I was fighting on TV Azteca on a smaller show, but being being the main event. It had its negative and its positive things about it. The negatives were that I had in mind were, hey, are we gonna have the same purse that we were thinking about, on the Pacquiao Marquez show? which there's more money there. But thankfully, we were able to, you know, the money was the same, and it was actually better for me because I'm having my own show. I'm headlining my own show. All our fans here in Las Vegas, they're gonna be able to come out and support because the tickets are at a better price, and it's my show, you know. So it's more beneficial. We get more exposure because TV Azteca is shown in Mexico. It's also shown in the U.S. So it's just more exposure. So it was definitely a plus. You know, I just like to think that God is guiding me in the right way, putting me in the right position. You know, I'm very thankful for everything just coming into place. And, you know, I'm just putting my part, which is working hard, being dedicated to the sport, try to complete my task and dream. And everything's working out for the better.
You know, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I said everything's working out for the better. I mean, like this year, you know, I was supposed to fight on a non-televised portion. I was possibly going to be on TV, the fight that you could see for free before you buy the actual pay-per-view. So, you know, I'm everything's just falling into place. I'm very thankful for everything that's happening in my career, and slowly but surely we will get there.
Now, Jeff, you know, as a trainer, you're not involved in the dollars and cents thing. So, you know, a lot of times changes get made without the permission of the trainer or you know, letting them know. So, you know, how do you handle stuff like that? I mean, you know, obviously with Kevin Johnson, take a fight on short notice. This was only a 1-day difference, but you know, a week notice. They found out, you know, just last week that they had changed venues and you know, the day they were fighting. How does that affect your preparation, if at all, as a trainer?
Oh, well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't really affect your preparation because, I mean, 1-day difference is not a big deal. I mean, it just basically boils down to a business decision, you know, and basically, to be honest, it's a situation where you went from being a person on the undercard to becoming the main event. So, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, and I mean, and of course, I mean, the pay is a part of it, you know, because you don't want to get moved to a smaller card even though you're going to be the main event. I mean, if their pay is going to be the same, it's better to be showcased as main event because now all of a sudden, I mean, you're being treated as the star of the show. You're not just one of the components of the show that's helping the show, do sales. So it's better. I think it works out better that way, you know, where you're your own star. You're the person that everybody, you know, you're the top billing. So people are spending their money just to see you and actually get a chance to also see where your value lies with the company.
Right. Now, a few months, 4 or 5 months ago or whatever it was, Mickey Bay had a problem with his fight. I guess he wasn't going to be on the televised portion, and Floyd Sr. had pulled him out of the fight. Obviously, that caused a lot of problems. So, you know, looking at that and here, Jeff, so would you not had any problem with Jessie going ahead with this fight, you know, despite the move? I mean, it sounds like you agree with that it's going to be better for him anyway.
Well, I think so. I mean, it's like I said. I mean, it's still a business decision because, I mean, if he's not losing anything monetarily, you know, I mean, it's much better for him because, I mean, on a big card, okay, you might tune in and you might see Jessie Vargas because some people, they only come to watch the big fight, you know, but on this show, you know, everybody's going to make sure that they're there to see Jessie Vargas, so it works out a whole lot better, I think.
All right. So now you're fighting Vito Gasparyan, Jessie. What do you know about him? You know, what are the things you have to look out that, you know, could potentially cause problems for you? I guess you guys do have a common opponent in Aaron Martinez.
Yes, well, I mean, he's a tough guy. You know, he's never been knocked out. He, you know, he's hungry. He's been given an opportunity. You know, he's going to try and come and beat me, and we're here to stop him. You know, we're here to make sure that doesn't happen. We're here to come out with the victory, with a spectacular victory, you know, and just to, I mean, I hate to say that I'm going to knock him out, but that's the plan. I really want to come out with the KO, you know. My last 4 fights went by decision, and I want to go back to what I used to do, which is knocking out fighters and stopping them.
Right.
I mean, he's tough. He's going to be easy to stop him, but it's possible.
Oh. Right. I don't know how much you read the internet and you read what people talk about you, but you know, for a guy coming up, you're probably one of the more polarizing fighters that I've read about. There's so many people that, you know, that love you, that hate you. You know, and one of the things is, you know, I guess is your style or your fights. You know, you've had some fights, you know, like you got a lot of crap for the Steve Forbes fight, you know, and fights like that. And, you know, and some aren't your fault. You know, some people think that Lopez beat you. It was a tough fight, but, you know, that's not your fault with the decisions made. But, you know, do you feel extra pressure to put on a good show here and to really show the fans that, you know, you're an exciting fighter? Because, I mean, obviously you put on a lot of great fights. So does that criticism, you know, bug you at all?
No, it doesn't. I think we have to get used to it. You know, we're not always going to have positive feedback. But all we could do is give the best performance possible. The only fight that I wasn't too happy with was the Steve Forbes fight. I think that, you know, we should have tried to get him out of there sooner. You know, try to give him a couple of tries, see if I could take him out and knock him out. It was definitely possible. But, you know, that was a mistake that I made. But at the same time, I mean, a week and a half before, we were prepared for a totally different style. We were prepared for Alfonso Gomez. And we were going to just outbox him and counterpunch him and bring him in. And then all of a sudden they bring Steve Forbes a week and a half in advance. I mean, training camp was finished. You know what I mean? So we have this style that we were perfecting, and then all of a sudden they changed my guy to a completely opposite style. I mean, it was totally different. The guy came in shape. He was Canelo's main sparring partner, so he was in shape. He was ready to fight, and it was a completely different style for me. But I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I wasn't happy with my performance. I think I was too patient. You know, I was trying to box. I outclassed a boxer. You know, I boxed a boxer, an ex-world champion, a guy. I made him look like a kid. I mean, you know, but you know, we just move ahead. You know, learn from it. I mean, the Josecito fight was a great fight. It was a close matchup. Aaron Lopez, you know, there's mistakes I was making there. I'm a young fighter. I'm only 23 years old, and I'm gonna continue to learn. And do I have pressure on this next fight? Yes, I do. The reason being that, you know, I want to give my best performance. I want to shock everyone. That way everyone just, all we get is positive feedback. Say, hey, this guy's for real. You know, but Floyd Mayweather, he's the best pound-for-pound fighter. And when he was young, he didn't get the best feedback. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard, when he first became world champion, they said, you know, he got lucky. You know what I mean? All the fans are gonna remember is one great, spectacular fight. And I will give it to them, hopefully in this one and the next ones to come, you know. But all we need is one fight to bring us to the top, you know. And all of a sudden, we are the best pound-for-pound fighters, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for that opportunity, that chance to show everyone who I am as a great fighter.
Right, and ultimately,
it will come. It will come.
You know, as long as they're talking about you, that's all that really matters, good or bad.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think all my fans, whether it's a good comment or bad comment, you know, if it's not a good comment, you know, I'm only gonna try to prove you wrong, or maybe I'm gonna listen. Maybe a fan was right. They didn't like the way I threw a jab or whatever it was. You know, we just have to look at it the best way possible, and use it to make us a better fighter. That's it.
I think if I was a boxer in your well, not necessarily your position, but, you know, a talented boxer, I think I'd embrace the bad guy rule. I think it'd be a little more fun anyway, you know, kind of, you know, being the person everybody wants to get their ass beat. But Jeff, you know, you've been around Jessie for a long time, you know, since, you know, way before he was in the pros and that kind of stuff. You know, what do you think of his career, how it's evolved? You know, maybe some things he still needs to work on, and the things that, you know, he really displays that are, you know, potential signs of greatness.
I mean, I think Jesse's he's right on course, you know, with the things he's doing. You know, I think that that's part of it. You know, that's part of the sport, where once you get to a certain point, of course, certain things are expected, and of course, sometimes when you don't live up to that expectation, you're going to be criticized. But one thing about boxing is you're only as good as your last fight. And so, you know, you go out and you do something spectacular just to said, all's forgiven. All forgiven, all forgotten. You know, and then next thing you know, now you're back to the same position that you was when everybody thought that this is what he's supposed to be doing anyway. So I mean, it's just part of boxing. That's part of the sport.
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, he had the fantastic knockout of you know, Vivian Harris there, and after that fight, everybody was, you know, saying he's, you know, the greatest thing, you know, to come up, you know, in forever. And then, you know, a couple fights later, he has the Steve Forbes fight, you know, and, you know, obviously short nose, different fighter, and all of a sudden, you know, he's a bum. So yeah, you know, it's just it's hard to please everybody, and like you both said, it's just your next, you know, your next fight, you know, is how good you are. And but you know, moving on a little bit here, Jesse. You know, I don't want to rehash the whole, you know, leaving Mayweather and going to Top Rank thing, because that's been discussed to death. But the one thing I talked about this with you a little bit earlier. Just as far as the different path they have you on, you know, when you started, you know, Mayweather, obviously you were brought along under his wing, you know, you were put on the pay-per-views. It kind of seems like it's taken you a step back here with Top Rank. You know, you're doing the ESPN fights. You know, even though originally you were supposed to be on the pay-per-view, well, you weren't supposed to be on the pay-per-view. You were going to be on the untelevised portion. So what do you think about, you know, the step back they've taken with you and their plans with you so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, I would have liked to be on pay-per-view. I mean, what fighter wouldn't, right? But you know, you just have to. I understand that Top Rank has a path that they want to take me through, and I'm sure they already have an idea of what bumps I'm gonna have in that path. You know what I mean? Who I'm going to fight. I'm sure they have everything planned out for me. They haven't told me anything, but I'm sure they have it planned out for me, what route it is that we're going to take. And if that means that I'm not going to fight on pay-per-view this Friday or Saturday, it's okay. But I'm going to be there. I'm going to get there because I have the right team to take me there, and not only be a future world champion, but a future star. You know, this guy Top Rank is a, you know, it's one of the. They're one of the best promoters out there. They know how to make rising stars. You know, they've made Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, the best fighters out there, Top Rank made them. Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, they made him into that star. Manny Pacquiao. So I hope to be their next rising star. And I mean, I feel very confident because here in my side, my training camp, everything that I'm doing right. So, and with God on my side, there isn't a reason why it shouldn't go my way. But, you know, right. Whatever it is that they're doing, I'm sure they're doing it to take me to being a future world champion and a rising star. So I trust them. So now, so if there's a reason behind it. That's what I believe.
Right. So now this fight, I guess, you know, you don't ultimately know the answer, but how did this fight with Vito get made? You know, before it seemed like, you know, you were kind of ready for that next step. I know last year or so you're, you know, calling out Robert Guerrero, and people thought, you know, you were ready to take a step and really fight a, you know, a really big challenger. And then, you know, like I said, all of a sudden you've been pulled back a little bit. You know, you fought some really tough guys, but maybe guys that were on the, you know, the back end, the Steve Forbes, Leonardo Tyners, the you know, Vivian Harris, and you're supposed to fight Alfonso Gomez, obviously. So it seemed like you were primed for, you know, that real legit challenge. So are you happy with, you know, I don't mean to disparage him. He's a tough, good fighter, and obviously you can't overlook him at all. But the quality of opponents here, does that bug you at all? And do you think you're ready to, or when do you think you're ready to take that big step up?
Yeah, well, right now, you know, we're ready for Vito Gasparyan right now. We're prepared 100% for him, for the best fighter that could be in front of me come Friday. You know, we prepared to the fullest. And now looking on anyone else, I mean, I'm not going to back down from anyone. I called out Robert Guerrero, and I'll tell him again, hey, I'll fight you anytime. You know, but it's now I also have a manager, and it's up to him. You know, it's up to him when we're going to take that next step. And I hope that I truly feel that 2013 will be my year, and I will become world champion. You know, like I said, I have to talk with my manager and my promoter. But whenever they give me the opportunity, I'm going to be ready. What I do know is we also need that exposure. You know, and fighting on TV Azteca, you know, all my Mexican fans, all my Spanish fans are going to be able to see me And if they haven't seen me, they will see me for the first time, and I hope to have more fans after this fight, which when that will help me once I do fight for the World Championship, once I do fight in that big fight. All the people that saw me here on TV Azteca, on ESPN last time in September, my fan base is growing. And what's going on here is that I think that they put me on TV Azteca, and we're going to get new fans. And maybe they might put me in another show, in wherever it is. But we're just going to continue and get more fans, and that's our goal right now, to expand our fan base. That way, when we do fight for a title, it's not just on HBO After Dark, but it's on HBO, and all of our fans are there to see us. Because I could fight for the title now, and I won't have the fans that I'll have, say, here in May 2013. My fan base is growing, and when I do fight for the title, I know that my fans will back me up 100%.
So how does that work? Obviously, you're a young, good-looking kid, perfectly bilingual. How does the Mexican, do you get some backlash? Like anything, people, hey, he's not really one of us. He's an American, really. How do the Mexicans overall? How do they embrace you? Because obviously, it doesn't get much more passion than Mexican fans. So how have they taken you so far?
You know what? They're treating me very well. I'm very happy with them. They're very happy with me. I just speak the truth. I'm very proud of my heritage. I'm Mexican-American, and I'm not going to deny what I am. I speak perfect Spanish because I'm Mexican. I speak very good English because I'm American. I'm half, and I think, I'm only going to get more fans like that. I can relate to the fans. If anyone, like, we had some guys coming into our gym, the doors are locked. So the guys are waiting outside. They're Mexicans. Just as I am, and I said, I saw someone standing outside. Hey, someone's outside. Who is it? Because I like to know who's around the gym. Hey, it's these guys. They say they'll wait for you to come out. You know what? Let them in. Let them in. There's no reason for them to stand outside. We let them in. They're able to see our training, how it goes, and they're very interested. I talked to them for a second. I tell them thank you. The point is to be very thankful and as honest as you can with your fans, and I try to do just that.
All right. And now, Jeff, let's make you Jessie Vargas' manager here for a minute. Let's say he has an incredible performance, second round knockout, whatever, just looks as incredible. What would be your plans for him, going forward from here?
Well, I think that what Top Rank is doing is basically they're putting Jessie in a position, to be his own person, to create his own fans, to have his own fan base, and to have his own following. I don't think that, they're no longer trying to, like the normal process of being brought up under Manny Pacquiao. I think right now that their game plan is basically to make sure when Jessie does get a chance to fight for the title, that he'll be ready for it, and that they don't jump the gun, because of the fact that he may look spectacular against this guy or this guy, and basically when he does get a chance to fight for the title, they want to be 100%, you never can be 100% sure, but a very, very high ratio chance of him winning, as opposed to taking a risk where it's a 50-50 chance, and that, this guy right here, no, we're not 100% sure we're ready for this guy, so let's wait a little longer, and not necessarily put him on smaller shows, but basically put him on shows where he can actually, build a bigger fan base, and in the process of building a fan base, actually, he's still learning his craft and still actually going as a fighter, so I think that's probably, right now, that's probably the path that they're taking. The path of now we're focusing on Jessie Vargas. We're no longer, just trying to bring him up as the guy that fights on Manny Pacquiao's cards, but the guy that's still growing as a fighter, but actually, he's being shown to smaller networks and actually free networks that create even a bigger fan base anyway.
Right. So like promoters aside, negotiations aside, all that kind of thing. Like I said, if he had a dominating performance, what kind of fighter would you look for him in his very next fight? Would you try to make a huge step up, or baby steps, or what?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I would take baby steps, but I would take a guy that's probably somewhere in the top 10, and but a guy that's more catered to our style of fighting, that's going to make us look the best we can. So I mean, you'll take a risk, but it's not the risk of shooting from, okay, we're fighting, guys that we should beat until, all of a sudden where you're putting your fighter in a position where, okay, now you're on pins and needles if your guy's going to win or lose, because boxing is this is how boxing is supposed to be. When you start out your career, you have about a 99% chance of winning. And as you're a good promoter, what you do, those ratios start to go the other way with each fight. You start out, then you get to the point. By the time your guy actually gets the chance to fight for the title fight, you want your guy to have at least a 60-40 chance of winning the title rather than a 50-50.
Right.
You want to know when your guy steps in that ring, we did our homework. We went from 99% all the way to, into a situation in which our guy is the favorite to win this fight now. So let's make it happen.
Well, Jesse, I asked you this earlier. I don't know if you dodged it or you didn't quite understand me, but we have a little more time here so I can expand on it. Manny's getting older. He's 35 years old. You don't know how many more fights he has left. Obviously, every fighter in your weight range, their dream is to fight, for the most part, is Manny or Floyd. That's that's the ultimate payday. That's the ultimate prestige if you can beat either one of them. So he's 35 years old. Being with Top Rank, that puts you in a position where you potentially could be an opponent down the road. Do you really feel like pressure to try to elevate yourself quickly so you can get that shot before he's gone, him, or is that really not something that you care if you ever fight him or Floyd for that matter, or anybody?
No, yes, of course. I mean, there is pressure that I have on myself just to bring me up that much quicker, so when I could, hopefully I fight him before he gets on his way out. He only has, I think he signed a contract with Top Rank for 2014, right? He extended his contract for 2014, so I hope to get him before he retires. I mean, what do they say, that there's always that younger lion, trying to take over the older one. So, I hope to be that one for Manny Pacquiao.
Right. Am I wrong there, or is that just the fans that feel that way, or pretty much in boxers they all have that too? Like I said, for your weight class, there's Manny and there's Floyd. The heavyweights, the Klitschko's like to get them. I mean, is it the same for you guys? I mean, ultimately, beating one of those guys, having that name on your resume, really, really, no matter what happens after that, you beat one of them, you can always point to that. So is that something you really shoot for?
Yes, of course. I mean, I think we all, as a fighter, we all want to prove that we're the best, right? And if we get that opportunity, of course we're going to take it, And I'm not just here for the money, This is my dream since I was 8 years old, and this is what I want to continue to do, and I want to be the best at what I do, which is the best in my weight division. So I hope that I do get the opportunity to fight the best, when I'm ready for them.
So realistically, of the top, the real top guys, around you, the Pacquiaos, Devin Alexander, Tim Bradley, whoever, who are the really top guy that you'd like to get in there with, and you really feel your style, is really meant for?
Devin Alexander is in there. Robert Guerrero is in there. There's Maidana. I mean, there's a lot of great fighters in my division that have talent, and that we can make some great fights. This division is packed, but at the end of the day, my manager, my promoter, they're going to come up with a couple options, and whoever it is that they say we're going to fight, that's who we're going to fight.
Right. I guess I will ask one, Mayweather-related question. And Jeff, it's kind of interesting. Obviously Jesse was under Floyd for a while, and now he's with Top Rank. I know you've had experience. Obviously you're not owner of the gym or anything or the promotion, but you've gone against against your brother in fights before, as far as, who you've trained. So how do you guys separate the business from the personal type thing? I mean, when someone like Jessie leaves Mayweather Promotions to go to Top Rank, I mean, does that piss you off at all, Jeff, or is that just something totally different in business and that doesn't affect you at all, as far as your personal feelings towards someone like Jessie?
No, I mean, I've known Jessie long before, he signed with Floyd. I knew, I just trained Jessie. So, I mean, and plus business is business, and, I can't, I don't get caught up in that because that's not my business. My job is to train fighters, and that's what I do. So when things like that happen, it just happens.
All right. And from your standpoint, Jessie?
From my standpoint, I don't see any hard feelings. I hope there isn't. I have no problem with Floyd. I'm still a fan of his. I'm still, if he fights Pacquiao, I'm gonna be on his side. I'm just thankful with Floyd. With the team, with the Mayweather Promotions team. But it was just that last minute where it was like, hey, who's gonna give me more? When we were in negotiations with Floyd with Top Rank, and Floyd knew I was in negotiations with the other side, but this is a job. This is a career. Someone's gonna pay you $20 an hour, and the other one's gonna pay you $22 an hour. You're gonna say, well, I'm gonna go with the $22 an hour. It's at the end of the day, whoever pays you more, that's who you're gonna go with. So that's the reason I made my move.
Have you had any personal conversations with Floyd in the last, since you made the move?
Not yet. I mean, haven't been able to see him. Hopefully, I will be able to sit down and say hello to him one day. But like I said, I mean, I've been very busy training, and he's been very busy as well. Ever since he after his fight. So hopefully one day, we'll get to say hello to each other.
Right. Is that the worst part about doing interviews and talking to people? Is talking about stuff like that? I'm sure it's fun to talk about the fighting, but the business aspect, does that kind of suck talking about that?
No. I mean, if we speak with the truth, I mean, there shouldn't be a reason why there's a problem with it. It's business is business. We have to understand this, and that's a part of life. Some people are gonna like it, some people aren't. You just have to deal with it.
Right.
I mean, if there was a problem, if there was a problem, then maybe it might bother you to talk about it. But thankfully, I had no problems with anyone.
Right. The last thing before we get you out here, just a couple days from your fight, just break down the fight for us. I mean, prediction for the fight and what you're really setting out to accomplish and showcase as far as your skills go in this fight.
Well, I look forward to giving a spectacular performance. I feel very strong. I feel fast. I feel like we have a very good game plan, and I feel that I'm the better fighter. So I hope that we get a knockout in this fight, and that my fans are happy with the outcome of the fight. And I want to thank all my fans. Thank you all. This is a great, this is a big fight week. You have the Marcus Pacquiao fight as well, and that's going to be a tough fight. I think there might be a knockout. They both do not like each other right now. They both have something to prove. And the only way that to shut everyone up is going to be with a knockout. So I think there might be a knockout this time. I think that Marquez always counterpunches. I think he's going to have to change his tactic this time and surprise Manny Pacquiao, because Manny is used to him counterpunching. Manny is probably thinking he's going to counterpunch him again. So this time, if Marquez maybe tries to put some inside pressure, maybe might benefit him and surprise Pacquiao, because if you think about it, they already know what to expect from each other. So if they surprise each other, it's going to bring a great fight. It's going to be a great fight no matter what, but it would be interesting for the fans.
But I think ultimately, the one thing we all just wish is there's a decisive outcome, no matter who it is. At least not something that people are arguing with the outcome. And who really won. That's a little frustrating in the first three. But just let me ask you, just to touch on that real quick. Is it obviously he didn't lose, but he lost on the scorecards the last fight to Tim Bradley. But if Pacquiao came out here and really laid an egg and was dominated by Marquez, that might kind of spell the end of Pacquiao. I mean, I'm sure he'd still be marketable, can make some money, but as a potential future opponent, are you kind of rooting for Pacquiao in a way though, knowing that he's the best option for you in the future at some point?
You know what, myself, I think, let the best man win. I think Manny Pacquiao, if he loses, he's still going to have that big fan base. He's still, bringing in a lot of money. Just as Sugar Ray Leonard, even when he lost, people still love him. And I think it's going to be the same thing. And I'm willing to take on the loser or the winner at whenever it is that, they want to give me the fight, because it would be a good fight if one day in the future they would put me with Marquez or Pacquiao. It doesn't matter. They're both very talented. They're one of the best in the sport. And just either one in the future would be a great fight for me.
Right. Jeff, last thing from you, just, kind of same thing as Jesse, you're not really, I'm sure, I don't know if you're familiar with Vito Gasparyan or not, but what would you like to see Jesse really, really showcase as far as this fight goes and what will lead him going forward?
Well, of course, an impressive performance would be, the best thing for any fighter, not just Jesse. The thing is that, basically, you want to get your fans back behind you in the way you once had them. So, and like I said, boxing is a fickle sport, and and that's all he needs. That's all he needs is a good performance, And then the few fans that are not so sure of what they think Jesse's ability is, maybe they'll jump back on the bandwagon, because that's how boxing is. So it's just one of those situations in which Jesse has to perform, to the level he once have to make people believe in him before. And so, if he gets a, spectacular knockout or even just a brilliant performance, I'm sure that the fan base is going to continue to grow.
And the one thing I kind of noticed is that people, a lot of times, they attribute your ability to based on who you're with. So if people hated Floyd Mayweather when you were with him, Jesse, they hated you and you were a bum. If they hated Bob Arum, now you were top ranked, all of a sudden you're a bum where you might have been good before. Do you find that a lot, that people's allegiance to promotions, kind of reflect their opinion of you individually?
Yeah, but we're here to fight, and eventually we're gonna win them over. And I also have a lot of fans now. I have a lot, just like I have people that say negative comments. I also have a lot of people that are on my side cheering for me. So but eventually at the end of the day, we'll have one on our side.
Right. So hey, I've been going back and forth with you guys, but before we go here, anything you guys could say to each other? You guys haven't been able to mingle amongst yourselves. So anything you have to say to each other?
Well, it's always a pleasure talking with Jeff. Jeff's a guy, a person that I have a lot of respect for. I've been knowing him since I was a kid, and like I said, it's always a pleasure talking to him and even hanging out with him too when I used to hang out with him at the gym.
Yeah, well, basically, it's a situation with Jesse. Jesse, is one of those guys in which, once you get to know him as a person, you're going to root for him. So, I've always been a fan of Jesse, from the day I was training him. And, I'm, like I always say, I'm more impressed with the young man that he's become, And, of course, I want to see him excel to the highest level.
Right. That's the one thing I've gotten to know a lot of the fighters personally, and it's hard for me not to jump in there on the forums or whatever and defend the people when they say, "Oh, Jesse's an asshole." Someone sees one little comment, thinks he's a jerk. Not that many people do, but the people that do, because I know the guys personally, and I've always told anybody to listen. Jesse's about the nicest, most politest boxer I've met. So it's Jesse, I think it's really cool that the things you're doing, and I think the more people get to know you, the more fans you have. So we appreciate you joining us tonight. And just, go ahead before you go. I looked for you on Twitter. Did you quit Twitter or what? I thought you were on there at one point, but I didn't see you. I couldn't find you today.
I have to build a new Twitter account. I will build it very soon, hopefully after this fight. And, all I can say is I want to thank all my fans, everyone listening. Thank you very much.
All right, so and I guess you have a Facebook fan page. Where can they check you out there? Where do they go for that?
All right, well, they could go to Jessie Vargas, the new generation Jessie Vargas, and I have a Facebook fan page. So look me up there if you get a chance, and thank you for the support to all my fans.
All right, well, thanks. Anything else you want to add? I mean, I know you thanked everybody, so we'll let you go with that unless you have anything else you want to say.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you, Jeff, Jody. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate the invite, and, after the fight, I would love to be on again, and, thank you.
Yeah, Jeff will be in Philadelphia, otherwise preoccupied with his fight this weekend, but I'll be checking you out there at Texas Station Friday night. Be sure to check that out, airing on TV Azteca, Friday night at Texas Station if you're in town here. You'll let both of you go, because I know, Jeff, you're probably falling asleep right now. I know you're really tired, and Jesse got to fight in a couple of days, so thanks, guys. And Jesse, we had to let you be dismissed customarily by Jeff and his famous dismissal, so go ahead, Jeff, and send Jesse off.
Good luck, Jess. Before you send me off, good luck on your show in Philadelphia.
All right. Thank you. Good luck to you also. And
Thank
bye.
You. All right, guys. Thanks to Jeff Mayweather and Jessie Vargas. Good luck to both of them this weekend. And we will talk to you next week, next Tuesday night, 7.